Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. The power of self-love and unintended consequences. I've got it in parentheses. Well, I don't know how. Normally parentheses, it's almost like said quietly, like, shh, unintended consequences. It is the thing that sometimes happens because of what we do. Sometimes what we do is not just as straightforward as what we're doing, but it's because of what we do. It's the ripples, as I talk about, sending something out, having a doing effect. When I say how we manifest, frequently, I'm all over the place, forgive me, but when we manifest, it's what we think, what we say, what we do. Thinking is least powerful, saying is middle powerful, doing is the most powerful manifesting technique we can use. So whenever you're getting yourself to that place where you're actually doing a behavior because of how you feel, because of whatever, it may seem like the wrong thing to do, but doing causes things to happen. Doing is throwing rocks out into the water, blunk, and creating a ripple. Doing will change your life. So anyway, let's take some steps backwards. Why are we, let's not get ahead of ourselves, people. Dan's talking doing, I'm talking, law of attraction. It's all about it. Receiving, I don't want to overdo. I get you. Overdoing, right? I've done it before. I've done it, right? You like text them once and it worked out really well. And then you're like, well, how can I keep this going? How can I take this to the next level? How can I text them again tomorrow at the same time and not make it seem like we're going into a pattern again or whatever? How do we do it differently? How do we follow inspired action? So all these things come into play. Now, the doing, as I've said, is important, but what is difficult about this process in many cases? The power of self-love. This is why this is coming in. I'm bringing it. I swear, I promise. It's been a while since I've done a show. Sorry, I've been out of town. I'm excited. I'm a little excited. The concept of self-love, why so many of us bring it up, say, hey, are you self-loving? Huh? And I don't mean that in the wrong way. A lot of us bring it up because so many of us have these desires for specific things. We have a very strong desire, maybe for Sam, right? Or maybe Kate, maybe Lucy over there, or maybe what about Joe? Joey's pretty friggin' awesome. Loving Joey, I have to have Joey. A lot of us get hooked up on these different people. We get in this place where we feel like maybe we were in love with them at one point. Maybe they're exes, right? Maybe they were our first love, and we're in this place where, like, I've experienced this level of emotion that is off the charts. I've experienced this feeling for someone that I've never known before. And the idea of that even, the idea, I have to have that, right? Like, I've got to experience it again. So there's this desire to be back with that person, right? So we've got these scenarios where maybe some of us are attracted back to people because of certain events in the past. Now, some of these people, maybe they're not being real good to us. I don't know. Maybe they are. I'm not saying they aren't, but I'm just throwing out some ideas. Maybe they're not real friendly. Maybe they don't return your texts. Maybe you're like the fifth most important person in their world. Maybe they're currently in another relationship. Maybe it's legit in every way, shape, and form. There's a lot of times, too, where people are just in a different city, right? And you've got communications with them, right? I'm just talking about this whole broader perspective of self-love, even if it's someone that's far away. And this, maybe different categories. Again, all these people fall into different areas. Some of us are in different places in our lives. Some of us are in different places in relationships. Maybe this is the first love. Maybe this is the fifth love. Maybe we're like, I'm so tired of being hurt, right? We're all over the place. So how does this all kind of tie together with the self-love issue? And a lot of the times what self-love really comes down to isn't like, do I love me? Do I just... No, it's not that. I mean, yeah, sure, but no, not even close. Self-love is if you've got a best friend, and you've got a best friend that's maybe interested in someone that didn't treat them well. Maybe was mean. Maybe sometimes hurt their feelings. maybe just said a lot of unkind things. Maybe was never available. Maybe was emotionally unavailable. Maybe was the father of a child, but for some reason was never there. Like maybe never actually was financially supportive. Maybe never really had a job. Maybe she never really cared. Maybe she left and left and come back, right? Like what? I'm trying to mix it up a little. What? Like maybe it was any number of things that we see that this friend went through, right? And we're talking to this friend and we're like, hey, so, they're sad and they're asking us for advice. And we're like, well, here's the thing. Like he seems to not care about you. Like, do you think that's okay? Do you think it's okay that he doesn't care about you? And that's a question that we should ask ourselves. Is it okay that this person doesn't seem to, like, we're not the most important thing in their life? Maybe they got a kid. All right, maybe we're the second most important thing, right? It happens sometimes. But are we like the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh most important thing in their lives? Are we the thing that seems to be important until after actions have occurred? Now all of a sudden they got to go. What is the quality that we're receiving? What is the quality even that we received? Maybe you were in a past relationship. Maybe you were together for 2 years. Maybe you love this person deeper than life itself. Did they really treat you well? I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not saying they did. But this is when we talk about self-love, it's looking at things like this. Is the treatment that I accept from another individual okay? Yes, no, it's not my decision. And I want you all to make this decision. I don't want you to get mad or anything. It's not like that. But we all have those decisions. We all look at it, yes, no, is this the direction that I am, is this the me that I would be proud to show my child? Or is this the me that my best friend I would tell about? Is this the me that I want to tell my parents? Is this the me that I want to display to the world in Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media device that you love? And when we really look down at what we deserve, who we are, the depth of our soul, when we get to that place, sometimes in doing this soul searching and doing this healing and coming to this place, we might change our minds. Our minds can change for any number of reasons. They can change for temporary, they can change for long-term, they can change for whatever. But I will tell you what's funny about temporary reasons, and you don't know this up front, and that's the joy of them, is a lot of the time temporary reasons are reasons that you get to a point where you're like, I'm done. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. You take about 3 steps forward and something happens and then you take 5 steps backwards. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's times where it's good to come back. There's times where you need the contrast again. It might be good or bad from our perspective. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is something's pulling us back. And a lot of us, most of us, probably borderline all of us, are going to feel that pull and respond to it in some way, shape, or form. We're going to react to it. Maybe it's the 100th time and you're like, no, forget it. Unlikely in most of our cases. It's probably the first time or second time, 5th time. And we're probably still curious, what does this mean? So what I'm saying is sometimes things happen in relationships that cause us to reach points where maybe a temporary decision, maybe it's permanent, is going to happen. And a lot of us freaks us out to make these decisions. We feel like we're breaking up. We're breaking up with someone that's already broken up with us. We're breaking up with someone that we're not really together with. But yet we feel like we're breaking up with someone. It's bizarre. Been there. I hear you. Is it right or wrong? No, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it is what it is. I think it's normal. That's what I think, frankly. Right or wrong? Yeah, you're going to do this probably all of you. if you go any length of time in this process. If there's any complexity to it, if there's any lessons to learn, there's a lot of joyous things. And yes, you will experience some changes of heart and mind. One of the things that happens when we friggin' switch, when we turn the tables, we look over here instead, and I no longer put energy on someone. I no longer shine a spotlight. I don't know if you've ever been on stage, but if someone shines a spotlight on you, there is heat in that light. You feel the spotlight. It is warmer. significantly. Like, holy cow, someone just turned a microwave on me. So the same thing happens when you take your attention away from people. Someone that's maybe been a pedestal, maybe they've been the pose there, right? Like they're the tennis thing, right? You got all these people that do poses apparently for statues, right? They somehow have to get that like little miniature person that's in bronze or gold color. The Oscars, whatever, I don't know their thing. They hold a globe. I don't know what their thing is, whatever. Golden Globes, probably the globe. That would make more sense. But anyway, obviously I don't follow that stuff closely. The experiences we have, the way our minds kind of wrap around the problems in our life, the things we're manifesting in our life, the way our minds have to rationalize this data, the way that questioning part of ourselves has to be dealt with. There are going to be times in our life where we make changes, where we make choices, where we pull away from something. Pulling away from it energetically causes that spotlight to turn off, and they usually feel it. Now, I'm telling you, if you do it for the reasons of, I want them to feel me turn my energy off, if that's literally in your mind at all when you're doing it, it's going to backfire against you. It's okay. Do it anyway. It will not work quite the way you want it. If you are doing it with the hope that they're going to feel some sort of horror or bad or some sort of feeling like you felt, like some sort of, I hope it hurts, like any of that kind of crap, it's not going to work right. Because you're sending a very bad thought transmission. Your energy is wackadoo, as a good friend of mine I used to work with would say. This really comes down to, I'm really at that place, the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm making a decision. I've turned the energy off because I really don't care. Because, full circle, I love myself so much, I deserve better than this. That's why a lot of us come to that conclusion. Not always. When we do something because of the self-love work we've done that actually has consequences that we didn't expect to happen, hence the unintended. There are powers that a lot of us don't get sometimes that come with things. I've talked before as an example of doing things, of doing, and how doing can actually be important. One example I used, and I think it's a good example, it's the only reason because it's hard to come up with good ones sometimes. But say on Instagram, example, maybe there's a person you're interested in, he or she, it doesn't really matter, right? And if I was going to wait 10 minutes to hop on Instagram to check them out, in 7 minutes, they're going to post a picture of this friend. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to hop on, I'm going to realize they just posted this picture of a friend, literally a friend. But my us pushed out, my insecurities are going to see it as someone that's actually a threat, as a third party, even though they're not technically. But I will actually see it as such and probably put energy towards it, and who knows what might happen. Or prior to 10 minutes happening, I actually got inspired action. This happened in both cases. I get an inspired action a minute and a half in, right? Minute and a half, I get this like, I should check his Facebook page. I don't know why. Or his Instagram page, sorry. Now, I'm not saying it's a good idea ever to go on anyone's Instagram page or Facebook or any of that social media, but in the example, it makes sense. And I hop on there, and I see the last thing they posted, which was actually really cool, and it was a place that you and them had shared at one point. And you're like, oh, I love that place. It's so beautiful, especially in the sunset. And what ends up happening is this individual now sees your reply, responds to it, and because of that interaction occurring the way it did, actually doesn't post the friend of the third party, the friend, or maybe does it much later in the day and you just miss it. It just happens to time out in a place where you don't see it. So you have this beautiful interaction, you have this wonderful experience. The same things occur, but your experience of them are in a slightly different chronological order. So he still posts that picture of that person that drove you nuts in the first scenario. But since you spoke to him first, since you had an interaction with him first, there's one, that thought in his mind when he posts a picture, so he probably does it later, hoping you don't see it maybe, right? Who knows, because you're paying attention. And two, you have that awesome interaction, and now you've got that connection and that additional energy, if you will, that you've put in his reservoir of thinking of you, right? That extra, like, every time I think of her, it's like, she's really awesome. So again, the way things play out and the timing of how they play out matter a lot. So sometimes, and I'm going to cut it here, sometimes we reach a point because of whatever, because we're frustrated, because this person I just talked to, because some random stranger that was drooling on himself is like, you should break up with him. Like, you're a crazy man. How do you don't even know me? And then you're like, but he said I should break up with him. Was the universe talking to me? Crazy things happen. Sometimes we reach a point where we're like, it's okay. My point. First, it's okay. Second, I always say follow your feelings. Always follow your feelings. Third, you'll be surprised at what happens when you follow your feelings and take that leap of faith. You will be surprised. Maybe they don't come back. I'm not saying they're always going to, but you'll probably, in a lot of cases, experience something very interesting with the person that you were close to. Should you get back together with them? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, though, that interesting, energetic things happen when we pull the plug sometimes. Be open. Understand that. Maybe the straw that broke the camel's back is still enough to push you away. It's like getting enough orbital velocity to leave orbit of a planet or a satellite, right? Getting it into orbit. Oh, anyways, a lot of you guys probably aren't geeky enough to love that kind of crazy physics crap, but whatever. There's a lot of really neat math that goes into that. It's fantastic. Look at why we're trying so hard. It's one of my points. If you're having to try really hard, if you're having to try really hard to do this, why? Why? Universe, source, higher creator, whoever, fill in blank, loves you beyond words. Your higher self loves you beyond words. Wants the best for you. Wants the best for you. And I promise you the best, even if it's with the same person or if it's with someone else. Both those paths are the best. The best. Your path forward is the best path. Self-love is how we're going to find that path. Wherever you end up on it, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. That's not why. It's that understanding of, what do I deserve? What really matters? Life is too short. Life is too short. Love is amazing. And the more time we can spend in love and being in love and loving with someone, the more time we get to walk around with that stupid grin on our face. You know that grin I'm talking about. Think of the person right now, your SP, right? That grin. That stupid grin. That grin. Look in the mirror right now. Appreciate how much you have that grin on your face. That's what I'm talking about. And a lot of times, your choices are fine. A lot of times, it might just be the pulling of the plug for a moment. You can still plug it back in. You know how you had the festive lights, Christmas time or whatever? I didn't want to be too specific, whatever. Christmas lights, right? And sometimes you want to unplug them because you don't want to just leave them on all the time because I don't know, it seems dangerous for some reason. Not necessarily, but seems like it. So unplug it. You can always plug it back in later on when it gets dark. Plug it back in. Turn the lights back on. They don't need to be on all day long. You're going to find your way to that place. Your focus is out here on what you're supposed to be creating, right? It's a focus-based universe. Keep heading in that direction, and you're going to have doubts. You're going to have mind changes. You're going to make decisions. Those are part of the steps, little stepping stones along the way. Take those steps. Understand that sometimes you're going to have to think a little before. Sometimes you're going to be a little bummed, and you might do something that seems weird. Sometimes it's going to be exactly what you were hoping for or expecting. Understand that self-love is not something we just throw around as something like, self-love. If you're not able to manifest, it's because you're not self-love. No, there's a depth to self-love. And most coaches, we look at it and we hear people say, I've self-loved. I do this, I do this, I do this. Usually a red flag right off the bat. They're probably not doing it because it's a lot of work to really look at what we deserve. And a lot of times, a lot of us, it's what we'll settle for. And that's not really living a dream now, is it? Is self-love involved? Should it be more involved? Some of the questions that we just got to think about. Maybe we're right on track. Maybe everything's beautiful. Living sunshines and rainbows and right, all the great things in life. Some of us are taking steps. Take those steps. Understand there's steps. Understand there's complexity. That's some of it. Trust your feelings. If it feels like you need to take a step away, then take a step away. It is perfectly okay. The point is learning to listen to that intuition, understanding that you're focusing on this bigger picture of me, loving me, experiencing better versions of me. Right? That's what love is, right? Hoping to have someone be a part of that, and that'd be great if that's the specific person. But maybe it's that guy over there. Maybe it's this person I haven't met yet. This person that's going to start working where you work, even though I don't usually recommend dating people you work with. They could be at a different department. Might be okay. Might be easy. I'm just saying it could be a little freaky. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I've been there. Love is a great thing. Taking chances, taking choices, trying things you've never tried before, and listening to that feeling inside yourself will get you in places that you've never dreamed. And law of attraction is really, it's like steering the ship, right? We don't know where the hell we're going. None of us do. Those of us are like, oh, I manifested everything. Yeah, there's still a lot of surprises. Trust me. It's not like it's the crystal ball and I look at it and I'm like, oh, no, so today George is going to walk up to me and borrow $20 and never going to pay me back. And then you know what? Jessica is going to tell me about Jordan and I don't know, right? How I make up some of these names, I don't even know. Anyway, hopefully this helps. Miss you guys. It's been a while. I was out of town, work trip. It's just, it takes a lot out. It's great, by the way. I mean, it was a very, very cool thing. What I'm doing now, my position, just the pay. A lot of things happen in a very, very awesome way. So life's good. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, it does cause challenges with some of the travel. So I apologize. If you guys like what I'm doing, please subscribe. I always appreciate that. Share my videos, like my videos, thumbs up, leave comments of shows you'd like to see. Talk about, experiences you have. It always makes a big difference when people share. I kind of see it like a family, like a community, the people that do chat in a lot of the comments. There's a lot of really, 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 really good souls. And people in all walks of life, all minorities, all over the place, many countries, in fact. So got a nice, broad kind of covering the bases with everybody. So hopefully a good place to have some great interactions. Love you guys. We will be talking soon. And again, please, throw some comments out there for show topics. I love those. It just gives me something fun and fresh to talk about. You guys are the best. We will talk soon. Stay on Radio Style.